Well, it didn't cool off as much last night as I'd hoped it was going to. Got overcast and held the heat in, but that was fine because it cooled off enough that I could get what I needed done. Got down to about 55 degrees, which was just right for working in here. Well, I came out this morning to spray the polybrush on here. Had a little bit of work to do to get ready. I moved some stuff around, swept the floor, cleaned it up. Because I had this building opened up the last couple of days while I was setting everything up in here, I got some bugs in here. I put up a bug zapper in here, an electronic insect killer. Had to take it down. Unfortunately, those bug zappers don't work on flies very well. They don't seem like they attract flies to them. They attract all kinds of other insects, but the flies just keep buzzing around. So there were some flies in here. I went around with the broom and swatted as many of those as I could and got those out of here. I think I got it pretty well cleaned up. Then I went ahead and sprayed a light coat of the reducer on here. Now the polybrush book doesn't say to do that, but one of the other instructions that I saw said to do that, to spray a light mist coat of reducer on here. And it's been quite a while since the last time I put any polybrush on here, so a light coat of reducer on there will soften up the polybrush that's on here, make the new coats of it bond a little better. And anyway, I sprayed that on and let it work a little bit, and then mixed up some polybrush and sprayed on one light coat of polybrush, kind of misted on there, let it set in for about 30-40 minutes while I went and had some breakfast, and then sprayed another coat on. And then I've let it sit all day like that. I didn't think it was going to warm up today because, like I said, it was overcast all morning, about 55 degrees or so. But it's cleared off now, and it is baking inside this tent. It must be about 85 degrees or so. So I'm glad I went ahead and got that coat of polybrush put on there this morning. So now I got to go over this, check and see if the solvents and stuff in the reducer and the coats of polybrush that I sprayed on, see if they lifted any of the seams on this at all. Sometimes they'll do that if the seams aren't glued down good, if they're not bedded good enough. Sometimes the solvents in there will cause them to, the edges, especially these pinked edges, to lift up. So I'm going to go ahead and go over this with a fine-tooth comb, looking for anything that looks like it might have raised. And I've got my little hobby iron here. If I find anything that needs to be worked over, I can take the hobby iron and smooth it down. I only want to go to about 225 degrees because I don't want to mess anything up. All we want to do is just smooth anything down that gets fuzzed up. And then tomorrow morning, early, while it's still cool out, then I can come out and spray my first coat of poly spray. When I was spraying this, I thought that I saw a raised seam here somewhere on this butt end. Thought I saw one of the tapes had lifted a little bit. But by gosh, I sure don't see anything on here now. Oh, there it is right there. One little spot right there. I've got this doubler, this doily that I put over where the flap cable goes through, and the top edge of it lifted just a little bit. Otherwise, this thing looks pretty doggone good. You can't really tell much that the poly brush was sprayed on here. It makes it a little pinker than it was, and it's glossy, which is good. That's what you want it to be, glossy. If it, like, you try to put it on when it's too hot, and it'll be rough. When it's too warm, if it goes on too warm, you'll have a rough finish, and that, of course, is not what you want. You can't really do much now with the iron. There's so much polybrush on here that if you warm this stuff up and try to do anything now with the iron, it's just going to make a mess. It's just going to leave marked iron tracks and stuff in here. And it'll just be something that you have to take out with a sandpaper or just go over it with a reducer and wipe it down, and then try to, there. It's stuck back down now. Let's see if we got any other little spots that need to be gone over. Of course, you got some edges right up here on this edge. I don't see anything wrong with that at all. Just that one little tape was raised a little bit down there. One little gusset, and I've got one bug penetration. Now I can't even find that. Well, I wiped it off. And there was a couple other little spots that probably more my imagination and my anal nature than anything else that made them think that they might be bad, but that thing looks really good. So I got dead flies on the floor here. Where's my broom? I'm going to sweep those up and lay down on the floor, and so I can look up at that. There's my broom. I suppose that solvent killed these bugs. That doesn't hurt my feelings any. You get this nice clean space with no bugs in it. That will be good. I only had one bug track in there well, two, I guess. I had one whisker of a bug. No bug in it, but one little bug in there. That's not too bad. By God, I've painted some other things and come out and looked at them and had bug tracks all over to the point where I had to strip them down and redo them again. I was worried about what kind of coverage I was going to get down here on this leading edge, not being able to see it. I had to get down on my knees and reach up and spray on that, but it looks like it did pretty good. We'll find out tomorrow morning. Tomorrow after I spray the poly spray on there. This leading edge is what takes a beating on here. Because that's when you're flying, that's what gets the rain hitting it, and the snow and the hail and the bugs and the birds and whatever else you run into. That's what takes the beating. Of course, the airflow, it just alone can wear it out. We don't have a whole lot of dust or anything like some places. There's dust in the air and they get erosion from dust. We don't have a whole lot of that around here. It's looking good. I'm happy with that. That is not bad. Not bad at all. I don't think it's show quality, but it's pretty doggone close. Pretty doggone close. All right, well, I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out. So we'll see how we do tomorrow with the poly spray. You can't really tell any difference on here with the poly brush, except that it got a little bit pinker. But when we put the poly spray on there, then things are really going to change. And it's too hot in here to do anything now. I did that once before when I did the fuselage on the airplane. I had the horizontal stabilizers and the rudder and elevator and stuff. I built a paint booth in the hangar, and one day it was too hot in there, and I tried doing the, I don't remember whether it's poly brush or poly spray, but it just did not go well at all. I come out of there like cotton candy out of the gun, and it was rough, like sandpaper. I wound up wiping it all down and starting over again. Fortunately, they were small parts, but I don't want to have to do that on the wing, that's for sure. Anyway, I've got other things I got to do. I got to go get the hangar cleaned up and get ready to start working on the airplane. I've got a few things to do on it. I haven't heard yet from my mechanic, but I called him the other day to see if he'd come up in a couple weeks, do the annual. So I want to get the airplane pretty much ready for him so we don't have to spend a lot of time here doing the annual. I don't want to waste his time. I still got work to do on my septic system. I can go out and lay out those chambers. I've got to level that sand out, make sure that's perfectly level, and put those chambers down and then start backfilling those. So I've got plenty of other stuff to do. I let this stuff in here, sit in here all day today, and tomorrow morning we'll come out and start all over again for an hour or so.